morning, everybody. This is the aftermath of mini snowmageddon yesterday. Last night's drive home was absolutely awful. It was a huge disaster all around Western New York. Traffic was stopped everywhere. Kids were held in schools until the last I knew, midnight, and some of them I think were held overnight because buses were stuck, parents were stuck. It was pretty insane, and when I tried to get home, 3 different ways were blocked with traffic, so I had to find like multiple side streets that were barely plowed, and I got home at 4 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, really all I have accomplished today is doing a little bit of cleaning and whatnot upstairs and getting ready for work. But yesterday I put together a bit of a video. It is really gross on these stairs. About how to get started with Zwift for the first time, and it ended up being a little long for the vlog. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post that one for you guys today, right after actually I open this box. Alright, mega exciting package, because now that I'm making videos several times a week and right now every day, I have run out of space on my measly 1 terabyte hard drive on my computer with my old ass MyBook with 500 gigs on it. So this is 5 terabytes. It was pretty reasonably priced. I'll get it hooked up. It's not going to be moved around or anything, so I don't need one like the Lassie drives right now. But if you guys have any other recommendations for external hard drive space, put them in the links or the comments down below, because I'm sure that this will run out quickly enough. So if anybody was wondering about the high number of indoor cycling videos or content you see in my vlogs right now, that weather is the reason why. This area of the country, especially this area by the lake, we just get so much snow and inclement weather. It's tough to get doing anything outside, and on a day like today, it kind of makes just travel. It's not impossible, it's just impractical, raising your propensity to get into car accident. Unnecessary travel is just not recommended in this area. So please bear with me through the next few weeks as we kind of get through the worst of the weather. I want to try to bring some more interesting content. But while I'm starting with Zwift, I've been coming across some stuff, and I've been looking at other people on YouTube to find ways that they kind of make indoor training a little less boring, because I hate going to the gym. The gym to me is awful. It smells bad. You always feel like either somebody's looking at you or you're inadvertently like looking at somebody else just for something to focus on. Music's usually pretty horrible. Treadmills are just torture devices. They're just bad, just bad. So finding ways to train indoors that will keep you committed and motivated to stay in shape, whether you are an avid cyclist or you're just kind of somebody who's looking for a way to stay in shape in the wintertime and have a bike and a cheap indoor trainer, this is kind of a cool option. So what I have seen in other videos is a lot of confusion, usually in the comment section, about what you need to get started with Zwift. There's a lot of frustration out there that people say, okay, I signed up for Zwift and I don't understand, it won't work, it tells me I need this, this, and this. So I want to try to demystify that, and I just want to real quick run through the things you're going to need to start up with Zwift and how the protocol kind of works so that you can understand it. And if you're getting started with Zwift or you're thinking about starting with Zwift, you don't have to kind of work backwards once you get signed up. Signing up for Zwift is a real straightforward process. I'm not going to go through that. You're just going to go to the Zwift website. You're going to follow the prompts. Basically just an email address. You fill in the boxes. It asks you to fill out a rider profile. And once you end up signing up, you can download it's actually kind of like a desktop app for your computer. And once you sign up for that and you log in, the first thing that's going to bring you to is it's going to bring you to this. This is your pairing screen. This is where people get a little bit lost, especially if they're new to cycling or new to Zwift. I just want to try to demystify this particular screen and what you're going to need to get started with Zwift. First and foremost, you're going to need, hopefully it goes without saying, but you need an indoor trainer. Whether it's a magnetic trainer, a fluid trainer, smart trainer, whatever, it doesn't matter. You just need an indoor trainer. I do not recommend rollers. While technically you could probably use rollers with a power meter on your bike, it's just, I feel like it's not going to work well with Zwift. Please correct me if I'm wrong. If any of you use rollers with Zwift, the rollers can be a great workout, but I feel like just the interface with Zwift, rollers are not good. So pick yourself up an indoor trainer if you don't have one. You could pick up, they're probably about as cheap as about $100 for just a standard magnetic fold-up trainer. Throw it out on a mat, fold it up, and put it away when you're done. Presuming that you have your indoor trainer, you need one of two things to even get Zwift to operate. You need either a power meter or a speed sensor. Now, a power meter, if you don't know what one is, you probably don't have one. It is a peripheral you can buy for your bike. Basically what it does is it's usually like a pedal-based, a crank-based, or a wheel-based strain gauge of some sort that's going to measure your output to the bike, your body, what kind of force you are exerting when you turn the cranks on your bike. It's usually somewhere between, I think as cheap as $500 up to thousands of dollars. You do not need to have one. I think most serious cyclists who are racing and training, they are looking into investing in them as the prices come down, but that's all you need to run Zwift. If you have a power meter, you really need nothing else, because the system will calculate your speed based on the power you exert against your body weight that you program into the Zwift profile, and then against the terrain. So they can make a calculation based on the gravity's effect on your body weight and your force to overcome that inertia or that gravity, and they can calculate a speed. So if you have a power meter, that's all you need to get started. The other option that's going to be more common for a beginner, either a beginner cyclist or beginner to Zwift, is a speed sensor. So speed sensors are where some people are getting jammed up, because if you have like a Garmin computer or Polar or whatever kind of computer that you have on your bike for riding it outside, it usually makes those calculations based on GPS. So you don't need a speed sensor. So let me kind of show you what kind of speed sensors there are. So to be clear, most of your speed sensors are actually going to come by way of a speed and cadence sensor. This one in particular is a power tap speed cadence sensor. It mounts right onto the chainstay of your bike. I'll kind of show you a couple of similar models so you can kind of see how they mount up. Okay, so this one in particular is a Garmin speed cadence sensor. The power tap is going to mount the same way. There's usually like a 3M strip here and then a couple of zip ties here. And what this does is this is a receiver for two magnets that are going to come with the unit. Your first magnet is going to come on the inside of your crank arm here. And every time this passes the sensor, it's going to give a reading. And this is going to calculate your cadence. So it's going to give you your revolutions per minute, or how many times you turn these cranks in a minute. And it will measure that based on how many times this magnet passes by. The next component is going to be a wheel magnet. So there's a couple different types of wheel magnets here, but this wheel magnet is going to pass this sensor on the inside. And what this wheel magnet does is it calculates your speed based on the circumference of the wheel, which more often than not on a trainer is going to be a standard 700C wheel, and it will compute that against how many times that magnet passes this particular sensor. This is a slightly different style of wheel magnet. They all work the same. They're pretty much interchangeable. This just happened to be the design that came with my particular speed cadence sensor on my bike. But any kind of magnet wheel sensor that's going to pass by, it will do the trick for you. So let's say you already had a speed cadence sensor on your bike, but you lost the speed sensor itself. You can just get those magnets. They're usually pretty cheap. You can pick them up sometimes in a 3-pack for maybe under $10. So if you want to take a look at Amazon for replacement wheel magnets, because some people just set up the cadence sensor and throw away the speed sensor because you don't really need it outside. You've never had a speed cadence sensor. They come in different shapes and sizes. So I showed you the Power Tap and the Garmin, which are very similar. But sometimes bike manufacturers come up with something like this. This is made by the company Giant, who makes my bike, and they have designed a speed cadence sensor that actually mounts into the chainstay on the inside so that you can't actually see it when you're on the outside of the bike. It just preserves the aesthetic. But in terms of functionality, it does the same thing. The magnet passes by the sensor and it gives you a reading. So to buy one of these speed cadence sensors, if you don't have one at all, you can usually find them between $30 and maybe $60. If you don't have cadence, it's a good thing to add to your training, so I'd recommend picking one up just for your training if you ride outside. It helps you to kind of control your cadence to preserve the muscles in your legs. Once you get a little bit more serious into training, a lot of that will make sense. So whatever speed cadence sensor you choose to get, you're generally just going to get some basic mounting hardware, your magnet, and obviously your sensor unit. Just follow the instructions that come with them. They're all very simple, making sure things line up. Everyone's going to be different. I'm not going to show you how to necessarily install one. I'm sure there's plenty of videos on that. But once you get it installed, you're going to be pretty much ready to go, except for one thing. So generally speaking, when you buy a speed cadence sensor, unless it's specifically marketed as Bluetooth, it's probably going to be on ANT+, because that is the industry standard still for a lot of your cycling computers. There's a lot of communication on ANT+. ANT+ is just something that's very similar. It's like a Bluetooth. It's just a way for your peripherals to communicate with your computer or your head unit or some kind of controller in like a private network. So this isn't something that people can search for openly. So ANT+ isn't something that somebody can sit on the side of the road and pick up as a sensor, because it's not in the Bluetooth protocol. So what you will need is an ANT+ stick or dongle. Now, if you bought a Garmin watch or you bought a Garmin computer, make sure you check your boxes, because sometimes these come with those units. But I'll take you over to my computer and I'll show you what a dongle or an ANT+ stick looks like. Okay, so this here is an ANT+ stick. They're USB, just little tiny antennas, if you will. Sometimes they're longer, but I recommend getting these short ones so they don't break off or accidentally get snapped in the side of like your computer or laptop. It's going to sit a lot more flush into the computer, so it's not going to break. You can find these anywhere between probably $15 and $35. This is a Garmin brand one. This one actually came with one of my Garmin units. I think these retail for around $30, but I've seen aftermarket ones for as cheap as about $15. What this is going to do is it's going to act as an antenna for your ANT+, because ANT+ is not like Bluetooth. ANT+ is not natively supported by most computers. It is supported by a lot of your Android tablets natively, but right now Android does not have a standalone Zwift app that you can run just off a tablet by itself. All it has is the controller. So you're going to need a computer, or I believe the iPads do run the Zwift app as a standalone, but as far as I know, iPads still do not support ANT+ natively, so you will need either a Lightning, or if you have old school traditional 32 pin or whatever that goes into the bottom of the Apple iPads, you'll need an ANT+ stick for that. But I'm just going to do the setup based on the presumption that you're probably using this on your computer or laptop. So this is an antenna. It runs a lot like Bluetooth. Basically what Zwift does is it wakes up this antenna when you hook up or when you open up the app, and it tells this ANT+ stick to start searching for devices that it recognizes, whether it's your heart rate, your speed cadence sensor, and that's pretty much it. Your power often runs on ANT+. It usually runs on ANT+ or Bluetooth. It's probably about 50-50, but you'll need one of these, and you're going to need one of the speed cadence sensors, and probably for about $60 or $70, that's going to be your one-time investment, and then you'll be able to run Zwift pretty seamlessly for the rest of the time that you have it. Okay, so you have your ANT+ stick set up, and you've got your speed cadence sensor on your bike. The only other thing you have to do is make sure that your ANT+ is woken up here, and your devices need to wake up. So all you need to do to wake up your devices is engage them. So what I'm basically going to do here is I'm going to turn my cranks on my bike, which my shoes are still stuck to because I was lazy last night. And it just takes a couple of revolutions for the magnet to pass by the sensor. And what'll happen is that we'll wake up. So in my case, the cadence down here has woken up. It kind of gives you how many RPM. So if you're sitting on your bike, you can kind of see that. I have a power meter, so that's actually superseding the speed sensor. So had I not had that power meter, the speed sensor would have woken up. And basically these two in conjunction, once you move on to the main ride screen, it'll let you move on. And what that'll do is it will compute your speed, not based on what you're coming out of your rear wheel. So if you pair up your speed cadence sensor with your Garmin, it's not going to match what's on Zwift. What it's going to do is going to take that raw speed data and your cadence and whatever metrics you have against your rider profile, so your weight, and against the terrain. It's going to make a very rough calculation, they call it Z-power, of what your power is, and translate that into speed on the road. So even if your rear wheel is moving at 20 miles an hour, if you're going uphill, you're not going uphill at 20 miles an hour. Zwift is going to recalculate. Now, if you're looking at those power numbers, take those with a grain of salt because they are not really going to be accurate. The only thing you're really going to be able to use them for is measuring against yourself within Zwift from ride to ride, so you can see your improvement, to see if you're getting faster, see if you're getting stronger. But don't try to take those power numbers, then if you invest in a power meter and you see a huge drop off or a huge jump, so take those numbers with a grain of salt because they're not going to really be relevant, or they're not going to carry over into true power numbers. But they're a great thing to use to train with Zwift to see if you're doing better, if you're doing a course faster, if you're climbing up a hill faster. If your power numbers go up in Zwift, that means you are getting stronger. It's just your raw power is not going to be indicated by what you see in Zwift. So the other two options I didn't talk about yet is your heart rate monitor. It's something that I do recommend for training just to kind of see if your general fitness is going up or down. You don't need to have it, but that will run off either Bluetooth or Amp Plus. I'm not wearing mine right now, so it's off. And then this is what the system I run. It's a controllable trainer. It's not woken up right now, but if you do have a controllable trainer, rude. If you do have a controllable trainer, it's going to actually change the resistance with what you're doing on the bike. So if you're going uphill in Zwift, it's going to actually make it harder to ride on the bike, which will force you to shift or adjust your cadence. Controllable trainers or smart trainers usually run between $500 and probably like $1,500, and they can go up from there for pro grade trainers, but usually consumer levels are $500 to $1,500. You got to determine if that's right for you, if you're serious as a cyclist, or if you just have the income to spend on something like that. But it's not necessary. It just creates the most immersive experience. But if you're just starting out with Zwift and you just want to put your simple bike on your simple trainer and get started with Zwift so you can kind of train indoors in a social or a more fun way, just pick up that speed cadence sensor and pick up the Amp Plus stick. Get them all paired up. It's pretty simple, and you should be good to go. And it's a real fun experience once you kind of do it for the first couple times and you adjust to it. So if you have any other comments, questions, concerns about installing or getting started with Zwift, please leave them in the comments down below, because I think it's a really fun platform, and getting people into cycling and fitness is always a good thing for everybody. So I want to kind of demystify that, like I said, and I want to make sure people have the most seamless, enjoyable experience possible. So please, any questions down below. So I hope that quick tip was helpful. I'm sorry for people who are already familiar with Zwift. I didn't want that to be too boring, but I've seen a lot of confusion in the comments, and I just want to make sure that people are set up to succeed if they want to use Zwift, or just set up to succeed with indoor training. You've seen outside of my window. I can't ride outside because somebody's going to kill me. So I want to be able to help other people in the same situation be able to ride indoors and not get frustrated because they need to go back and buy this, and then they come home and it doesn't work again, and they have to go back and buy that. So I will put some links below for some of the things I was talking about, for a couple of Amp Plus sticks, a couple different speed cadence sensors. You might be able to pick them up at your local bike shop. a lot of major bike shops or even more specialty shops. Big box stores aren't going to carry this. You need to go to an actual legitimate bike shop dealer, somebody who does repairs. Dick's is probably not going to carry this either. So find a bike shop in your area, usually locally owned and operated. You can probably find the stuff that you need. And like I said, any questions down below.
So last night when I got home, I decided to do a bit of a makeshift plow job. And those are my wheels packed with snow. That's not going to feel too good when I go 65 miles an hour on the thruway. Here we go. So serendipity strikes again, and it's just starting to snow as I'm leaving to go to work. Isn't that splendid? But I hope you guys found that video of how to set up Zwift helpful. For those of you who already have Zwift set up, sorry for the boring video or the video that's not of much use to you. But those of you who are into Zwift for the first time, welcome. Thanks for watching the video. And I'm going to catch back up with some normal vlogs when I'm regulated again after my Snowmageddon experience. So I will catch you guys in the next one, and have a great day.